So this is going to be a very rough draft of this. I'll probably re-record this video, but I really wanted to kind of get back into vlog and just get out what I'm feeling and share. But it's a really interesting thing to start back up, especially I'm 28 now. I'll try to sum up a few of the stuff that I want to touch on and how I want to make this series continue, making it even bigger than me, maybe having other voices on here and going from there. So like I said, I'm 28. My name is Frankie. I have a zine that I started, the year before last. The anniversary of the zine just passed in August of 2020. I started it when I was in a 7-year relationship that was ending, that we both knew it was kind of ending. We're friends now. That took a lot of kind of work to get to there. That year that I started the zine, I lost my dog, I had to put her to sleep, who was 13, 14. I had her pretty much my whole teens, and that was really hard. I fractured my spine. I had a seizure. I got a VNS implanted inside me to stop seizures, and was diagnosed with ADD. And I broke up that relationship a little bit after I started the zine, and I was single for the first time since my 20s. He was the first person I ever slept with, first person I ever fell in love with in a healthy way up until the end. And yeah, so when I fractured my spine, I couldn't sit still, and I had to find something to get me to where I wanted to be in life. So I started Therapy Zine, and it started off as just me messing around with InDesign because I wanted to be a graphic designer, and I was kind of forced into trying to make it a job. And so I'm like, I gotta learn InDesign, I gotta learn this. So I decided to start to do that, and it eventually just evolved into a project about. It was really hard for me to describe what I wanted Therapy Zine to be. I wanted to be somewhere that people could come and express themselves without feeling judgment, and give them a space to do that, whether it be in person or through the actual zine, and which made no sense to people when it was just a zine. But I knew what I was trying to go for, but I didn't really know how to express it. It's kind of like how I am with my creative side. I always know where I want it to be, but I can't explain it in a way that makes sense. And so I kind of gathered together my friends and kind of wanted to set the tone of what it was, or what it was in my head. And so just serendipitously, the month after I started making the zine, there was Vegas's first ever zine event that I know of. I don't know if they've had anything like that. I know they have a zine library, and it was the first ever zine event that Vegas had at thrown by Cozy during a Bernie Sanders conference, and there was so much good response back, and I was just like, this is what I want to do. I want to help people have a platform where they can express themselves easily without having to pay, without having to give anything, just to do it just for themselves. And so, because how it is in Vegas is the art scene is very kind of exclusive. Like, you have to pay to be a part of galleries, you have to pay to be a part of events, to unless you're like really known or anything like that. And so, like, that's what I went through, was trying to get my art out there. And like I said, I just wanted to give that space to people where they didn't have to do that. It was easily accessible for them to be able to just get their stuff out there in a collective kind of community. And so it went from there. Then the second issue came out. Then I did a solo trip. And when I got back from that solo trip, where I just took my car up to Zion and just parked it and just sat there and wrote a song about my dead dog. And I learned guitar for her so I can write a song for her. And I just got a lot of clarity from that. I feel like I got more questions than answers with that. But when I came back, that's when me and my my ex / best friend now decided that it was better for us to just be friends, which was a whole nother journey. But and then I just kind of like felt this like sadness, but like release of just like, okay, now it's time for me to do what I want. I kept making the zines. I started not dating, but seeing people. I never wanted to fall in love again. I continued going to actual therapy, but I never wanted to fall in love again because it was just too painful to lose it. And I wrote a song about that. I went through a depression, wrote a song about that. And started thinking back on my childhood and like how it kind of hindered me from being who I wanted to be. Wrote a song about that. And through this all, lost a few friends because it was just kind of toxic friendships that were also just holding me back. Yeah, and during this all, I was still coming out with issues. I wanted to do it every single month. I was like adamant on that, about wanting to do it every single month. And I was stretching myself pretty thin, like definitely with finding jobs and all that to make sure I was making ends meet. And then it became bi-monthly. And yeah, so the zine kind of it just progressed naturally, and I never wanted to force it to be like, okay, we need to get this out, we need to get this out. And I mean, I say we, but it was mostly all me, just finding people, getting what needed to be in there and what I felt was right for it. And so during that all, I hosted an event that was kind of therapy, but in person, where people just gathered, and I had musicians. I did an event that was like BDSM performers, art therapy night. What was the other one? Black Hearts Ball, which was like a singles kind of celebrating being single. Funny enough, when that one happened, I found, this is gonna sound so cheesy, but I found the love of my life, and and I was so resistant. I would tell my therapist, I'm like, I don't want to fall in love again. I don't want to do it. But it was like the universe just saying, like, you're ready for each other. You've worked on yourself enough that you're able to give that love back. And yeah, so that was accepting the love again. That was a little bit hard for me to do. I wrote about that. I wrote a song about that. And yeah, and I never thought I'd ever release my music, but during the end of 2020, I was just like, I have all these songs. They're all like different versions of me that I are kind of not there anymore, that are things that I've conquered, things I've gotten over. And so I decided to call it Seven Corpses because they're all dead versions of me. I mean, they'll always be a part of my story, but like all dead versions of me. Sounds super hippy dippy, but yeah, and so I did that. And funny enough, even after doing all this, I bought a home. I bought a trailer, which is my home. Um, Everybody was like, "That's unrealistic. You can't do that. Like, you're not going to be able to do that." I did that, and I mean, even though all this stuff has happened that that I've wanted to happen, stuff that I needed to do for me, and stuff that I didn't even know I needed, like falling in love again. And through all that, with regarding not my relationship, but regarding me, I still had this feeling of just being disassociated from what was going on. Like I wasn't even a character in my own story. Like I was not even there this whole time. And it's so hard to explain to people who don't feel depression or who don't get that feeling of just like disassociation. And I just wanted to feel it because I'm happy. But am I happy? And so I mean, I wrote a song about that. That one was never released. Um, and so that was just like really kind of sad because I was doing all this stuff for me and finally focusing on myself and my wants and my needs, and I still had depression. I still had anxiety. I still had all this other fucked up shit, like with my stomach problems, with my epilepsy, and even accepting praise was just like, well, I'm like, well, it's not me. And they're like, you did all this. Like, what do you mean it's not you? And, but like, even now, I still don't even see it as me. Like, it's just somebody else. But it's just, it might be because obviously depression has a part to do with it. But I wasn't really willing to share it. I wasn't willing to share any kind of pain or what I was going through. I would share it surface level, but never in depth, because nobody could care what I have to say. Like, who would? Like, why? What makes my voice so important? What makes what I say something that anybody wants to listen to? And so that's where I got this idea. Well, it's just for me. It's not for anybody else. But that's kind of hypocritical because the whole point of therapy was to share. experiences, to be vulnerable and be honest. And the only honesty I ever like really had was with my paintings and art, and those can be interpreted however you want to interpret them. But my music was like my rawest form of that, and so that felt really good to get that out there. But it's hard feeling it. Like, it's hard feeling emotions. Like, experiencing happiness and joy like I see other people do. It's like I'm not even there when it happens. And I want to be. But it's like I physically can't. And this person who came into my life, like, whatever you want to call it, soulmate, twin flame, whatever they call it, they're the first person who I've ever felt seen by. I feel real in his presence. And I feel joy when I'm around him, genuine joy. And I don't know if I've ever actually felt that before. And I mean, that's a whole nother topic. That was just an interesting thing. And to get back onto myself, I just want to be able to feel when I'm happy. I've had to force myself to become an optimist because I'm naturally a pessimist, I think. But I've had to force myself to become an optimist because I don't think I would survive if I was a pessimist. I definitely no. So I tell myself that it's temporary. I'll get through it. And when I find those moments of joy and happiness, to feel them as hard as I can. Sounds so weird. Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever post this. I don't know. Maybe I'll transcribe it. But yeah. I am doing this just for me. Just to get it out there. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that has been kind of abbreviated and summed up due to this computer. I have a GoPro and I still haven't used it. And yeah, hopefully these videos they will get, see, they will. I have to start saying they will. They'll get better quality when I when I continue them. But I don't know. I just felt like sitting down and saying this, and maybe sharing it with other people, because we can't carry this by ourselves. It'll just infect us. We have to heal. We have to heal. It's hard though. People like to make self-love and all that out to be like this beautiful, and but it's a journey, such a journey. It took me so long to actually legitimately love myself, and I still struggle with it. I still struggle with feeling worthy of any kind of love, but I know I deserve it. But if you want to be a part of Therapy Zine, I'll include all the links or whatever wherever I post this, and I'll. You can also pick it up. A big thing that actually happened, Meow Wolf is actually gonna be having my zine in their Omega Mart, and that's a really big accomplishment, and I feel really proud of that, or try to feel really proud of that. And I'm try to be excited about that, and giving myself praise where it's deserved. But yeah, I would love to hear your guys' stories within therapy, or if you want to send in a video, maybe have it featured with one of our virtual events. I'll include the the Google Drive link in the bio also for anybody who wants to share video wise, or comment, or submit their story or their art, because that's what it's about. But yeah, we'll get through it. We will. We will. It's only temporary. It is. Pain doesn't last forever. Love you.